Hello, Morongo Basin, and listeners around the world online at Z107.7 FM.com. Here is the Z107.7 Local News for Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. A man on probation for child sex charges was arrested in Wonder Valley for alleged possession of drugs and weapons. On Wednesday, San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies conducted a probation check on Daniel Brakebill, 43, in the 7000 block of Mojave Road in Wonder Valley. Deputies say that Brakebill was found in possession of suspected methamphetamine, a taser, and ammunition. Brakebill was convicted of contacting a minor with sexual interest in June and is currently on felony probation. Daniel Brakebill was arrested for investigation into possession of a controlled substance, being a felon in possession of ammunition, and being a felon in possession of a stun gun. He is being held at the West Valley Detention Center on $30,000 bail. A woman was arrested in Ontario after allegedly leaving a dog to die in a bedroom in Yucca Valley. Earlier in September, Melissa Ortiz, 33, was arrested in Ontario, California for an active warrant. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department says that Ortiz was a tenant at a home in the 7400 block of Borrego Trail in Yucca Valley. They say she moved out sometime between December 2024 and January 2025. The Sheriff's Department says that when the owner of the property arrived at the residence on February 22nd, they found a deceased French bulldog in a bedroom that had been deprived of food, water, and care. The Sheriff's Department was unable to locate Ortiz and issued a warrant for her arrest. Ortiz was contacted by the Ontario Police Department in September, and the U.S. Marshals Service arranged for her transfer to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department this week. Melissa Ortiz was arrested on suspicion of cruelty to animals and is being held at the West Valley Detention Center on $30,000 bail. As the nation prepares for another federal government shutdown, Joshua Tree National Park employees are left hanging in the balance as they wait for answers on what will happen with their jobs. Online news editor Robert Hayden joins us with the latest on the possible government pause and how the high desert has stepped up in past shutdowns.
The impending federal government shutdown may seem familiar with anyone who's paid attention to politics in the last decade. If Congress doesn't act by midnight tonight, the shutdown will leave the nearly 150,000 federal workers in the state of California waiting to see what will happen with their jobs and benefits. Here in the Morongo Basin, those workers include employees at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in 29 Palms, as well as Joshua Tree National Park. COVID caused closures at the national parks, but it was the federal shutdown in 2019 that is closest to what could happen today if the political parties don't make a deal. That last shutdown lasted over a month, and the park used previously collected park fees for some upkeep operations. However, most campgrounds and trails were closed, trash piled up, and illegal activity like vandalism and off-roading spiked. The shutdown in 2019 lasted 35 days, and it was the longest federal government closure in the nation's history. Employees in the park were furloughed, and though there was extensive damage and cleanup in the park after the shutdown was lifted, things returned back to normal until COVID hit in 2020. When we reached out to Joshua Tree National Park to see what they were doing to prepare for the latest shutdown, they said that, quote, Congress is working through the appropriations process, and we are hopeful that a lapse in appropriations will not occur, unquote. They provided a link to the Department of the Interior's plans for a federal shutdown, which was last updated in March of 2024. That document indicates that approximately 68% of its workforce would be furloughed in a shutdown. President Trump has stated that he may use the shutdown to target things that Democrats care about. One of those things appears to be public lands like national parks. National park employees were among the first federal employees targeted by Trump and Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency earlier this year, and since then the National Park Service has seen a nearly 25% reduction in their workforce. Many of the agencies and government institutions targeted by those earlier job eliminations have had to rehire workers, but the national park workforce remains below staffing levels in most parks, including Joshua Tree. Nearly 3 million people a year visit Joshua Tree National Park, and this week the park released some figures that show how much money those visitors bring into the gateway communities that surround it. According to the report, in 2024, visitors spent $179 million in communities near the park, which had a cumulative benefit to the local economy to the tune of $214 million. In the press release, Superintendent Jane Rogers says that, quote, "We're proud to be such an important part of the local economy and simply could not do what we do without the awesome support of our gateway communities and park partners." During the shutdown in 2019, volunteers teamed up with the furloughed park employees to help with upkeep in the national park. It is highly likely that if the national park gates are kept open but employees are furloughed or fired, our public lands will once again rely on the public for support. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Robert Hayden.
Yucca Valley's annual townwide crack, slurry, and Cape Seal project continues with road closures this week. The annual maintenance effort is a part of the town's overall pavement maintenance program with the long-term goal to keep the roads from deteriorating. Road closures for today include Aviation Drive from Airway Avenue to Old Woman Springs Road, Airway Court from Airway Avenue to the end of the road, Airway Avenue from Redondo Street to Paxton Road, Palo Alto Avenue from Redondo Street to Paxton Road, Crestview Court from Lindbergh Lane to the end of the road, Lindbergh Lane from Warren Vista Avenue to the end of the road, and Warren Vista Avenue from Lindbergh Lane to Sunny Slope Drive. During construction operations, detours will be provided for alternative routes. The Joshua Basin Water District Board of Directors meets in regular session tomorrow to discuss Chromium-6 compliance strategies. The board is likely to enter into contracts with consulting and engineering services as part of that strategy. They will also receive reports from directors and the general manager. The board meets tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the Joshua Basin Water District office at 61750 Choyita Road in Joshua Tree. The meeting of the High Desert Water District Board of Directors scheduled for tomorrow has been canceled. The Board of Directors is scheduled to meet next on October 15th. And finally, because of extraordinary demand, a unique opportunity to see the theatrical creative process is returning to Theater 29. After 2 sold-out performances in August, the James Franco project, Desert Films, is coming back for a 1-week-only run. The play, written, starring, and co-directed by the Oscar nominee, is the first step in a workshop process as it prepares to move on to Los Angeles and New York. The experimental format combines stage and cinema elements as the stage action is reflected on a rear screen. Franco takes on a stylized characterization of Robert Blake using a kidnapped actor to prove his innocence in the murder of his wife. Veteran actress Beth Grant starts out the show with a brilliant monologue based on the classic Hollywood of the 50s and 60s. The show runs the weekend of October 24th. Tickets are $60 and $75 and will be available at theater29.org beginning Thursday at 10 a.m. Enhanced ticket prices will assist Theater 29 in their modernization efforts. That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. If you hear about news happening, let us know. Email us at tips@z1077fm.com. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z107.7 Local News, I'm News Director Jeff Harmatz.